What is going on, everybody? Bobby Fi, Eric Sheets Haber, going to be talking about this MLB early slate. I did want to thank everybody who wrote congratulations about last night. We're back-to-back nights where Sheets took down the big one on DraftKings 2 nights ago, and I took down the big one on FanDuel last night. But
is there a tweet somewhere?
Yeah, it's in our Discord. I posted the NBA thing. But it was funny because I won the single entry in baseball, and I had people sweating and writing me congratulations on that. But on FanDuel, I don't look at FanDuel on my phone. It's a weird superstition thing. I just never do on my phone. And I was at a movie last night, which I really enjoyed, which is a separate story. So I was tweeting, yeah, great. It's nice to win a tournament, even if it's the it's a 5K win or whatever. But it was the 121 single entry. And then I was like, but I had a feeling. I knew I had a lot of Jalen Green, and I knew I had played 3 big buy-ins on FanDuel, and Jalen Green was in 2 of them. And I knew he would be low owned. I didn't know he'd be like 4% owned, and he went completely berserk. And I come home and I was like, okay, how did I do on FanDuel? I just look, and it's like, boom, 52,000 or whatever it was, So it was pretty sweet to see that happen, and it was exactly some of the things that we talked about when we were some of the plays that
I'm looking at the lineup right now. Oh, how excuse me. Let's all buy Jalen Green jerseys.
Jalen Green went completely nuts, and that was obviously what did it, or a big part of what did it. But the other thing was, it is interesting that I did have even though it wasn't like he had a huge game, but it just fit in sort of price wise. I mentioned on the air that I really liked the Pritchard idea at low ownership, and he was in that lineup. Not that not a huge production thing, but it allows you to sort of differentiate your builds. And other guys like Jaylen Brown, who had massive games, were not on the winning lineup. So I was very, very happy. For some reason, FanDuel won't let me log in right now, which is really irritating. But I did want to show that real quickly. And
here's the I have it from the tweet at least. So that this was the lineup.
Yeah.
Like you say, you just need a couple. You don't even need a 5%. How is anybody 5% in a 3-game slate?
I know, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of crazy. But the thing with Jaylen Brown is his price was so much cheaper on DraftKings. It's one of those same, my favorite thing to do is like, well, if we're going to take the shot on him over there, his range of outcomes are like 15 fantasy points up to 50. I get apparently up to 58.8.
Yeah.
So it worked out great. Really, really happy to get the win. And hopefully we can keep the momentum going. I love NBA playoff basketball. There's a lot you can speculate on every day. And yesterday I was actually a little bit more like unsure of myself of what I necessarily wanted to do. And then the late news, and Highsmith starting, I ended up playing a bunch of anyway, it was just really, really cool. Appreciate the congratulations from Adam and HC in the chat. And people have been very cool. And look, it had obviously a big January. But it's frustrating, man. It gets tough when you go through a losing streak, no matter how much you just won.
Yeah.
And I was on a little losing streak for the last month and a half or so. So this certainly helps out a lot, and ready to get back on track. And
back to back. How about back to back to back?
I know this is what happened last time. Remember, you won the lottery, then I won it when you were out that day, and then you came back and won it again.
Let's see. Let's who's next. Maybe Adam Perry will take the next one.
Yeah, maybe somebody else takes down tonight's one. But I'm pumped, and did want to give everybody a heads up. I'll be going at 1:30 Eastern. I'm going to talk to McCool. We're going to do a little show and talk through some of his tools and how to use them.
Are you going to do that live?
Yeah, we are. I'm going to double check with him, but that was my.
Well, you know what? Because then again, if it goes like an hour, because he could talk for a while. So maybe at 2, maybe I'll at least I'll go into chat. And
yeah, that'd be great. So anyway, good day. Ready for another one. And and also, like I mentioned, I did take down the other thing as well. So my new plan is just to go to a movie every night and then forget about it.
How was the movie, by the way?
I'm curious what you would think of it. I went to see Sinners, and it was really interesting. And Sheets, I felt like the oldest man I've ever been, because I love going to the theater, but since COVID, I haven't really gone that much.
Yeah,
I've mostly gone in Santa Barbara, but now we live next to this big, luxury seating in dining,
lobster tails and whatever it is.
Yeah, all the stuff. So I was there, but everything is electronic. It sort of was like going to the Intuit Dome to the Clippers games. It's like everything's electronic. You don't talk to anybody. You do this, and they bring it to your seat, and then you press this button, does this if you want.
Oh, really?
It's like all kinds of future techie stuff. And I was like, what world am I living in? I finally have crossed over to being that the old man here.
I'm telling you, I still think that again, it's just probably not possible. But My idea, even one of my many ideas when I was 7 years old that just never really amounted to anything, was if like four people wanted to go to the movies together, but they all wanted to see different movies, have like a weird like streaming system where you could just be watching a different movie but staring at the same screen. Depending on it's like totally Black Mirror, like how you program your brain, and they literally threw four different movies off the same screen. And depending on what channel you're turned into, you get to enjoy it. But then the problem is then you're laughing when other people are like watching something else.
Right. No, I thought about the same thing because I know they set up some, I don't know if it was Japan, but where they have little streaming things on that you can pull out things so you could check on like a game or something like that. At least that was an idea that was out there.
I'm watching on the big screen. Like
you were saying that you'd see a different thing on the same screen. Right. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Travis is saying, the delivery sheet, it's wild out here. I mean, it is LA, so I get it, but it's like, everything. I'm telling you, if you go to the Intuit Dome, if anybody has a chance to go to LA and go to a basketball game next year, because it's playoffs this year, go to the Intuit Dome. Everything's facial recognition. You don't even talk to people. You just go pick up your food and it just rings you up. It's bizarre. It's just a whole new world that I guess we got to get used to. Some of it good, some of it bad. But yeah, pumped about a good day and ready to get into.
In fairness, by the way, MSG is still although it's streamlined, it's pretty old school. I mean, you still got to go and you would wait on the lines and get the food and all that stuff. So I
like that though.
I do too. But what we got to do is again, maybe not even wait till the World Series again. Like I got like eight of those legend seats tickets for the Yankee Stadium. There's nothing like it, dude. And maybe we'll get you out here at some point.
Absolutely, and my plan is to try and come at the end of the summer. I'm gonna take a little bit of time. I'll still be tapping in every day on DFS, but I'm not.
August would be good.
Yeah, that would probably be right around the time. That's great.
All right. Yeah. So I got a question for this. Yeah. How own or how do you not play crochet and ratings? Like, tough. I mean, it's gonna and for that matter, well, we'll get to the hitting in a minute, but boy, it's gonna be really, really tough to play anybody else. I mean, there are guys that you can play. But boy, oh boy! I mean, those guys really lay over the field, don't they?
Yeah, I honestly am having a hard time figuring that one out myself. And of course, as I get on here, for some reason, my whole computer just keeps crashing. And first FanDuel, now I can't get onto my SaberSim, so I'm trying to get my exact pivots and everything. Oh, there we go. Okay, finally.
I mean, you know what you do. I mean, you could do the matchup play, and you could play Paddock, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, And I think these ownerships that are on, the pitchers you mentioned are probably going to be actually higher than they're being projected.
Well, I have 63 and 47, but I mean,
yeah, and I think that sounds reasonable, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was like the higher buy-in 75 and 75.
Yeah, it could be.
But I do think Paddock is the other one. Landon Roop, who I'm not a huge fan of, but because at least it's San Francisco. The one that's confusing to me that I think might be every bit as good a play is Brian Wu. That's probably what I'm going to do is play the Brian Wu, where I'm going to get different from those guys. Brian Wu and Paddock, I think, are the most logical, differentiators, and that's probably where I go. The super, hey, take a shot one is no one's going to play on a small slate. Herman Marquis, and can he get through just clean enough at 6K? You probably don't need the savings if he was like, he's at 5,500. If he was like 5K or 4,800 or something like that, I think it would be easier to try to justify. But that was my other, maybe a little too creative, but let's get a little bit creative play.
Yeah, I'm just the same with the other one, by the way. I just as well play Shane Smith. Okay. The two of them, they're both real cheap. You probably don't need either of them.
The only issue with Smith is it's hard to find upside with no real leash. He only is going to throw 70 or so pitches.
Yeah, I guess.
Marquis, at least, if he's going, could actually throw like 95 pitches. It's on the table at least.
Right. That's true.
But I like the Brian Wu. I'm a little confused why he doesn't project better. So he would be my other one. The only thing is that game in Boston looks like a pretty good hitting game if my numbers are correct. And
Boston gives up fantasy points to pitchers.
Yeah, they do. They've had plenty of strikeout games this year, and for what it's worth, I mean, we also have some a little bit of weather to deal with in the Minnesota game. And for those people who played Kansas City last night, they know the pain of sometimes rostering players who in games that don't play.
Yeah, I played them. I played the Kansas City.
I ended up Xing them out right before, but
I wasn't around. I screwed it up.
Yeah. So yeah, and what Roth says, and shout out to Roth from Roto Grinders. He does say the second game is I'm sorry, the Chicago game is if they late start, that could be trouble. He's saying because it's going to continue, and that's a big piece of this slate with it being only 4 games, obviously. So I'm still confused as to what I'm exactly going to do, and because that's the first game, hopefully we'll have that news like momentarily, whether or not they delay it. And that's going to be, I guess, the big piece. If they don't delay it, they can probably get it in. It looks like, but it's, I'm just reading off of what other people are saying here. I'm not necessarily sure what's going to happen there.
So so what are they saying? So we're hoping that so if they delay, that's bad. If they start right away, that's good.
Yes, that seems to be the thing. And for what it's worth, on your Shane Smith point, even Shane Smith looks like a very logical play based on the weather, because it is 53 degrees. It's colder there, and there's some wind blowing in from left. Only 5 miles an hour, but still not an ideal hitting situation compared to some of these other good ones. And even Boston is actually, I thought it was a better hitting spot than it was. I looked at the actual Vegas total. It actually just doesn't look so crazy. And Boston's run total seems a little high, a little too much respect. I think Brian Wu might be the thing for me today.
By the way, we're obviously 2-0 in Survivor. Minnesota handling White Sox pretty easily.
We just need one more.
Yeah, as is all the other chalk at Kansas City, and everybody's winning. That's fine. Let's just keep on. Let's keep on keeping on. Yeah, look at this. First lineup at the gate is a Brian Wu lineup for me. So there you go. That's something.
Yeah, there you go. That's what we want. Sorry, but I had a sorry.
No problem.
Anyway, sorry. Yeah. So I think that's going to be the main thing for me, and as I will do, especially once we get a little bit more clarity on this Minnesota game, and I'm just looking at MLB Twitter to see if I'm getting anything about the weather.
What a shit show slate that would be.
Yeah, but the only thing I like about it is that we can do my weird thing. We can play hitters against pitchers. Yeah. We can play all kinds of no stack weird one-off things and just get a little funky with it.
I'll tell you what's interesting. What do you think of SaberSim has the default to not allow pitchers against hitters on 4-game slates. What I was going to say is, if in fact they have that setting okay on 3-game slates, would it know to automatically change the default setting if a game is postponed?
Yeah.
Okay, I would think so too.
I think it would. Well, my guess is yeah. I shouldn't say yeah.
I would think so.
But and King of Smack making a good point here. Wu is a good pitcher who does struggle with the lefties, and you're going to have lefties in every lineup, obviously. Now you still do have, I believe, 4 righties in the lineup for Boston at least. So and one of the lefties is David Hamilton, who's not going to scare anybody. And some of these other, it's not like we're talking about murderer's row here. Outside of Duran and Abreu, I'm not really afraid of any of these lefties, and they all have strikeout upside. So I'm more and more into the Dylan Wu. And this is, and King of Smack saying the question is, can we play the Rockies? And that would be the ultimate way of just differentiating, right? So I
would do the opposite. I'm going to play Seattle.
That would be that's the other one. I mean, both those are going to be I think the extreme pivots off of what was the word I'm looking for? The leverage.
Off the pitchers.
Yeah. The other one I'm looking at is what to do with this Milwaukee, because it's sort of got its standalone time with this Milwaukee San Francisco, but considering the size of the slate, the ownership's going to be pretty damn low. And San Francisco, the games play better during the day, much better at Hitters Park, still a terrible Hitters Park, but much better during the day than it is at night. Tobias Myers and Landon Roop, neither of which are guys who I'm afraid of attacking. And I feel like maybe that's something, maybe getting heavily invested in that game is a way to go, especially if we don't hear this Minnesota stuff. The other one would be if the game is good, would be, what do we do? Can we play some White Sox? weirdly, they won't be as low owned as usual, but they'll still be low owned enough to where maybe that's. I'm going to look at some White Sox. You like the Seattle. I'm going to look at some White Sox and some Colorado lineups. Colorado, remember, bad team against everybody, but should theoretically be better against lefties than they are against righties.
Yeah. So factoring everything in, I'm kind of down with taking shots on Seattle, and then on the other part of the chalk spectrum, I think I am gonna play some of the Kansas City.
Nice. Yeah, I think that the Kansas City is going to be the chalk one. And what I may do is, if I'm going to play the chalkier stacks, I may play like a marquee lineup with like Marquee and Wu in a lineup, and then play a chalkier stack maybe with. But again, it won't be a full stack for me, so it might be like a 4-2-2. But I might have 2 from Colorado and 2 from Seattle with the Wu and the Marquee, and that's going to be pretty different. Now, in my big buy-in's probably not going to have to go that crazy. But I do think it's worthwhile, especially for lottery and large field type stuff.
Who do we think is the chalkiest stack?
It's gonna be Minnesota. Well, that's the weird part. It's gonna be Minnesota, Boston.
You don't think Kansas City?
And well, no, sorry. It should be Minnesota, Boston, Kansas City should all be pretty similar. Kansas City will have more guys. The Twins, it's just they're so cheap. It's hard for me to picture people not just putting them in there. And I was sort of lucky in the battery in the 121 last night to have the Twins come through kind of late for me, because it did not look like I was going to be a winning night for baseball. But sure enough, it was, because they put up just enough in the 7th, 8th to get me there, and to get us there, by the way, because we needed them to win.
No, I like them. I guess Milwaukee is the first pivot, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that would be probably the GPP idea. I think that if you play Reagan and Crochet together, then you probably should like drop to Milwaukee. When I say drop, I just mean drop in like projection. Like, I don't think you want to play Crochet Reagans with either Kansas City, Minnesota, or Boston for that matter.
Yeah, I agree with that. And this Boston, you know what? That's
F Boston. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't need to. I still maintain that Brian Wu is going to win a Cy Young. I said in the next 5 years last year, so I've got 4 more years, so I can't really be wrong yet. I think Brian Wu is extremely good, and I think you could make a case outside of. I mean, look, you got 2 of the other best pitchers in baseball, but I don't think that he's that far behind these guys as real life pitchers, not the DFS pitchers. And JB's asking a question here: would you play Crochet with Seattle stack? No, you're not stacking against your own pitcher. That's never going to be a thing. Even on a 2-game slate, you're gonna have maybe a batter or 2, but you're not going to stack against your pitcher unless he's pitching like 2 innings or something like that. And that's just way too creative. I did want to remind everybody, though, I'm doing a show with McCool to talk about the PayDirt tools later on. We do have the partnership with PayDirt along with SaberSim. I think we have one of the most unique offerings. Like I said, it's still a little hard to find everything on the current site. We're switching over to a new site, which is going to take the next month or so, as it's sort of the dog days of the beginning of summer. Well, not quite the dog days of summer. That's really like a month and a half for DFS. But so we're making a lot of changes, but there's a lot there. And I would encourage you guys at least to try the trials, even if you've used them before, change the offering. So please take a look at it, and anything. You also let us know what you think. If you're a current member, or if you want to be a member, what other things are you looking for? Because we really are trying to cater this to make it usable for everyone. And the people with the PayDirt stuff have done really, really well with the sports betting, which is something we are just starting to get a little bit more into.
So just so you see my exposures right now, I might screw around. Right now, I'm mostly on Seattle as far as hitting goes, and then Kansas City, and then Milwaukee. Those are my 3.
Okay, and like I said, I'm not gonna do the 5-mans. Is gonna be what part of my thing. I'm probably gonna X out Boston as any more than a 2-man. I don't want to have a stack of them, and I'm gonna probably use Wu at pitcher, and I'm gonna have a little bit more than the field on Marquee. So those are my differentiators for the lottery. For the bigger buy-ins, I think that I'm. Again, if the Twins game, we'll get word on that shortly, hopefully. But it does worry me a little bit to play a game. We only have 4 games to choose from. You could make an argument both ways that you're getting some. If you just totally fade it, if they say the game's going to start and it only goes 4 innings or 5, or it won't go 4, it'll go 5 probably, because that's what they need to play a game. you just got to be wary of that with your stack. And I don't know if I want to X them out just yet, but the fact that they're going to be so owned and combined with that, maybe it is the right thing to X them out. And by the way, this has not been some high-powered offense with Minnesota. They have looked terrible to start the year. We've just squeaked by the last couple of days with them as our survivor team. Because
we're playing the worst team in the league.
Right, exactly. That's why we need to get the win today, so we don't have to worry about the next 3-game series.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions or thoughts, guys? Please feel to fire them in. Please like, subscribe, all that stuff.
No, I got nothing. And you know what else I did? I freaking DJ'd. I totally played golf.
Oh, so I tried to find any. I put too many lineups in there. There was like I was like, oh, what am I doing? So I had the guy unregistered me. So I just put one lineup in. What do you got? Like,
I'm like with the field and everything. I like 50%. Oh my God, I'm ahead of the field. I have 50% of the McElroy thing. They're only 28% owned. Okay.
That's weird. Oh, you know what it was? It was kind of hard to get other pairings that you knew to get would be together.
Yeah, I guess so. So yeah, we'll just see. I'll see if I have a sweat on Sunday, I guess.
So, and it's also weird to figure out with the ownership, because if you play the Højgaards, if I click on Rasmus or Nikolai, does one look higher than the other? Like, I don't know how that works, because I have Rasmus at 1%, but there's no way the brothers combined could have been 1%.
Right.
So it's just kind of tricky to figure out. But I mean, I played 555 and 3 of my things say less than 5% owned, and all of them off to good starts at least. So
that's good.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. It would be really weird to win this one, because I tried to do research on it. I listened to the Rick shows and stuff, and I just but I didn't know we didn't have projections for it from SaberSim. So
no.
I was like, okay, I cannot just wing this. It probably cost me an hour of the day yesterday, but
yeah.
Maybe it pays off with the one lineup it entered. How many did you play?
Like 50.
You found so you had some other projection set.
Yeah, and I ran it through the Roto Grinders LGHQ or whatever.
Oh my God!
And I put min uniques 2. No, I think I made min uniques 4. I think to try to get different.
Yeah.
And I found a couple of projection sources, and then I factored in a couple of Rick stuff, and I just kind of uploaded and just fired it. Not my best day from a discipline perspective, but that's what I did.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Hey, maybe that's the one I win.
Yeah, I hope so. All right, so I don't know if we have a bunch more. Again, I'll be live later. I'm probably going to be live at 6 for NBA, and I'm not going to go right up to the minute, because I'm going to stick with whatever works. And yesterday, getting off about a half hour beforehand, whatever works, and then I'll update the every one of our subscribers of my ownerships. And it's the first time I can say that proudly for the last month and a half, because I haven't been doing so great the last month and a half. But overall, still this year has been incredible. But it feels better when you're winning and you're giving out the ownership your exposures to everybody than when you're losing. You feel like you're just sort of setting them up. It kind of feels bad.
Yeah, I might. What are you gonna get there? 6, you said?
I think it's 6. It seems to make the most sense. 530 would work too.
Yeah, 530 is a little easier for me, only because I have to leave at like 6:15, I think.
Okay, I'm okay with the 530.
Let's try it. We'll do NBA is not going to take long anyway.
Yeah, it's only a few games, but hey, there's been a few nuggets. This is all you look for in the NBA, is a few little nuggets, and I think I've been on point with the nuggets so far. As far as I've said, each day the guys who I overweighted and changed the projections massively on it, Michael Porter Jr. and even though he didn't have a big game, Peyton Pritchard was on like most of the winning lineups because of the price thing on FanDuel. So including mine. All right, guys. Well, good luck to everybody today. Take a look at the site. Join us. I really think you'll enjoy the offerings, and I think we also have a great team and a great Discord as well. And now is a good time to get on board. So we would love to have you. Anyway, anything else?